Now, I know that you're not accustomed, members of the press, to people getting along, working together. But Senator McConnell and I believe this is a new day in Washington. That our efforts are going to be to work on a bipartisan basis in an open fashion to solve the problems of the American people. We've just had a wonderful meeting, non-legislative in nature, but one where people had the opportunity to express their hopes and desires for a better America. Mitch?
I think Harry's got it right. This opportunity we had in the old Senate chamber was a chance for many of our members to express some of their quiet frustrations, that we get past the level of partisanship that we've witnessed in recent years and develop stronger personal relationships as well as work across party aisles.
January 4th, 2007, Democratic Senate Leader Harry Reid and Republican Senate Leader Mitch McConnell talking to the press after a joint bipartisan meeting of senators just before opening the 110th Congress. So, this is another podcast about political opponents working together and bipartisanship, right? We are marking the death of Harry Reid by remembering when Republicans and Democrats got along, right? Well, not exactly. On the contrary, we're doing the opposite. We will remember 5 years later, after those joint remarks with Mitch McConnell, when Harry Reid used the Senate floor to go after a Republican running for president, a Republican who would end up being a U.S. Senator after this. Mitt Romney became a U.S. Senator from Utah in 2019. That was 2 years after Harry Reid of neighboring Nevada left the Senate. But in the spring of 2012, Mitt Romney was already getting lots of attention in the Senate, thanks to Harry Reid. Romney was headed to the Republican presidential nomination. President Barack Obama was running for re-election. And on Tax Day in 2012, which fell on April 17th that year, on the Senate floor, Democratic Majority Leader Harry Reid said this.
Yesterday, Senate Republicans once again rejected the idea that millionaires and billionaires should contribute their fair share to help the country prosper. Republicans sent a message to millions of honest, hardworking Americans who will file their taxes today. It's fair for Warren Buffett to pay a lower tax than his secretary, and that's not fair. Republicans said it's fair for Mitt Romney to pay a lower tax rate than his cleaning lady or his chauffeur. That's not fair.
A longer tax attack on Mitt Romney from Harry Reid on July 11th, 2012.
Democrats and Republicans alike agree we have to reduce the deficit and rein in the debt. Unfortunately, the same Republicans who say we have to get our fiscal house in order also claim millionaires and billionaires can't afford to contribute even a tiny bit more to share the effort that's before this country. These same Republicans say multimillionaires like Mitt Romney need lower taxes, even lower than the only tax return we've been able to see of Governor Romney, which showed his rate at 16%. We don't know what's in the other tax returns that he should make public. The same tax returns that were made public by his father, who started everyone who's run for president since then followed. George Romney set an example that his son should follow. We'd like to know what's in those tax returns that he refuses to show the American public. Did he pay any taxes? Well, I suggest to everyone that Mitt Romney doesn't need another tax break. In fact, he's got so much money that he doesn't even know where it's all located. Switzerland, Cayman Islands, Bermuda. No wonder he doesn't want America to see his tax returns. So Mitt Romney's doing just fine. And so are the other millionaires and billionaires.
And another tax swipe later that same day.
If Governor Romney came before this body to be a cabinet officer, he couldn't get approved. He won't show anybody his income tax returns. So he doesn't qualify to be a cabinet officer. How could he qualify to be president? So let's debate the issues before us. We'll get to the tax issues. That way we'll be able to talk in more detail about Governor Romney's taxes.
Harry Reid was back at it the very next day, July 12th, 2012.
The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office reported this week that in 2009, rates fell to their lowest level in more than 3 decades, 30 years. Much of that decline is thanks to President Obama, who has consistently fought to lower taxes for middle-class families over the last 3.5 years. The average tax rate in this country fell to the lowest rate since 1979, 17.4%. Mr. President, of course, that's still higher than what Mitt Romney paid in the only year he's been willing to disclose his tax returns. And I'm confident the reason he hasn't disclosed his tax returns in the years that people want to know, remember, he's disclosed 1 year. His father, George Romney, set the precedent that people running for president would file their tax returns, let everybody look at them. But Mitt Romney can't do that because he's basically paid no taxes in the prior 12 years.
On August 2nd, 2012, again on the Senate floor, Senator Reid went even further.
He's refused to release his tax returns, as we know. If a person coming before this body wanted to be a cabinet officer, he couldn't be if he did the same refusal Mitt Romney does about tax returns. So the word's out that he hasn't paid any taxes for 10 years. Let him prove that he has paid taxes, because he hasn't. We already know from one partial tax return that he gave us, he has money hidden in Bermuda, the Cayman Islands, and a Swiss bank account. Not making that up, that's in the partial year that he gave us. Mitt Romney makes more money in a single day than the average middle-class family makes in 2 years or more.
On September 4th, 2012, Senator Harry Reid took his attack on Mitt Romney and taxes from the floor of the U.S. Senate in Washington, D.C., to the floor of the Democratic National Convention in Charlotte, North Carolina.
And this year, they've nominated the strongest proponent and clearest beneficiary of this rigged game, Mitt Romney. Never in modern American history has a presidential candidate tried so hard to hide himself from the people he hopes to serve. When you look at the one tax return he has released, it's obvious why. It's obvious why there's only been one. We learned that he pays a lower tax rate than middle-class families. We learned he chose Swiss bank accounts and Cayman Island tax shelters over American institutions. And we can only imagine what new secrets would be revealed if he showed the American people a dozen years of tax returns, like his father did. Mitt Romney says we should take his word that he paid his fair share. His word, trust comes from transparency, and Mitt Romney comes up short on both.
President Obama beat Mitt Romney in 2012. In the next presidential election, Harry Reid took on another Republican presidential nominee over taxes. On September 21st, 2016, Senator Reid discussed Donald Trump not releasing his tax returns. Harry Reid worked in another mention of Mitt Romney, but this time, Reid was Senate Minority Leader, and this time, Senator Reid used the word agree when talking about Mitt Romney.
Mitt Romney and I agree on one thing, and that's one thing for sure. There are other things, of course, we would agree on, but let's talk about one thing that Mitt Romney and I agree on, and that is Donald Trump should release his tax returns.
Finally, a historical footnote. In August 2012, the Washington Post fact-checker gave Harry Reid 4 Pinocchios for his claims about Mitt Romney's taxes. The fact-checker said Senator Reid holds a position of great authority in the U.S. Congress. He should hold himself to a high standard of accuracy when making claims about political opponents. In February 2020, Paul Keene of the Washington Post interviewed former Senator Reid. Paul Keene wrote, "In 2012, when Romney was a GOP presidential nominee, Reid falsely accused the co-founder of Bain Capital of paying no taxes over 10 years. And Harry Reid told Paul Keene, 'I think I had something to do with his not being elected,' expressing, in Paul Keene's words, pride and no remorse." And now a bonus clip. What did Mitt Romney think about Harry Reid? Right around the time Senator Reid was attacking him, Mitt Romney talked with a C-SPAN, and in that June 16, 2012 interview, he responded to a question about Harry Reid.
So do you think you could work with a Nancy Pelosi and a Harry Reid?
What I think I can find is members of the Democratic Party, both in the House and in the Senate, who feel that this is a critical time, that the nation is close to a precipice, and that we have to work together to find some common solutions. And you're seeing that. That happens more often than is given credit inside the House, inside the Senate.
That kind of sounds like what we heard Harry Reid and Mitch McConnell say in 2007 at the beginning of this podcast. And with that, you get a bipartisan ending after all. That's it for this episode of C-SPAN's A Weekly. A reminder that you can do your own searches in the C-SPAN video library. Just go to cspan.org and use the search bar on top. You can remember Senator Harry Reid, who died in December 2021, or Mitt Romney, or anything else from the 2012 presidential election, all for free. Thanks for listening, and happy searching.